Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I'm going to be discussing the mystery novel by Agatha Christie known as Cards on the Table. This is the third Agatha Christie novel that I have read and reviewed. I also read her novel Crooked House, and I also read and reviewed on this channel her novel The ABC Murders. And I absolutely loved both of those novels, and I went into this novel apprehensive because even at the beginning of the book, Agatha Christie writes a note to the reader saying that this might not be as intriguing a book as some of her others that she's written. And she says even the characters don't think it's that interesting. And so I was a little bit apprehensive going into this, and at the beginning I was like, oh, where's it going? And then second act started to pick up, and the third act was brilliant. Utterly brilliant. I loved this book. I keep thinking I'm going to read a bad Agatha Christie book. That it's going to happen. So far it hasn't happened. I'm 3 for 3. I am very impressed with Agatha Christie. I enjoyed her books more than I enjoyed Sherlock Holmes, but I am confident and positive now she is my definitive favorite mystery writer, by far. I just love the story and the twists, and the way she lays out the evidence is just unparalleled. And so I thoroughly enjoyed everything about this book, particularly the last third. I will say that the book starts out where there's only 4 potential murderers. You know that in like the 4th chapter, after the murders happened. And so there's not a lot of, I wonder, is there some way that it could be someone else? No, it's one of the 4 people. And you know that all 4 people have suspicion because they all have potential reasons that they'd want to kill this person. And so the reader, as with Hercule Poirot, is trying to figure out what the who the murderer is and why they did it. And so they're not just looking into their events of that particular night, they're also looking into their past to see how would that night have affected their past and how their past affect that night. It was utterly brilliant. The second thing I want to mention here is that Poirot isn't quite as funny in this book as he is in books like ABC Murders. I thought that he had some tremendous humor with some of the other characters, and it seemed like he was more jovial and friendly with the side characters, the cops that he was working with in that book, the ones that he normally works with in his books, the ones that Agatha Christie refers to in this book, such as Captain Hastings. Captain Hastings and him have a great dynamic. Hastings is not in this book. Instead, Hastings is replaced with a character named Superintendent Battle. And Superintendent Battle is just a wonderful name. I mean, he sounds like a big, fat, ferocious guy. I mean, I can imagine he's supposed to be the superintendent of the police precinct, and he's a wonderful character. And he's Superintendent Battle, and he's very straightforward with everyone. And so the humor isn't quite there in the same way as ABC Murders, but the plot is so good, and Poirot still has the wit that he had in ABC Murders. He's still very witty and comes up with these very funny lines throughout the book. One knock I will give the book: throughout the first portion of the book, when referring to a character, they kept referring to him as Mephistophelian, and while using that phrase once or twice might have been warranted, the author used the phrase, I believe, 10 or 12 times. It got to the point where I was thinking of doing like a pseudo soft drinking game, like a soft drink game, drinking a root beer every time I read the word Mephistophelian. It just kept coming up. By the end of the book, Christie had abandoned it, but the first third of the book, it was just every chapter described this character as Mephistophelian. I was like, I get it. He's devilish. He has a mustache. He's mustache twirling villain. We don't need to belabor the point. Anyway, so that word overused, but other than that, it really is mostly positive about this book. The last third of the book, I can't go into spoilers here, so I will not spoil it for anyone, but the last third of this book is wild. I mean, the ABC Murders had a wild third act, but it was mostly, there was a chapter of explaining everything. This book had the explanation at the end, but it was much shorter, it was a much quicker moment, whereas there were things happening in the third act that caused plot twists and caused big things to happen. It wasn't just reading the prologue, this happened and this happened. Instead, you're seeing the thing happening in real time. And I was on the edge of my seat. I was completely wrong about the book, about where it was going, about who the murderer was, all that stuff. And yet at the very end, I can totally see how Agatha Christie was setting it up. From beginning to end, she knew who the murderer was, and it was brilliant. And I've said that word, you could probably take it to a soft drink game for every time I say the word brilliant, but it was great. And so I loved the third act of this book. So I will give this book a 9.0 out of 10. I loved ABC Murders and loved Cricket House, and I think of the three, it's just shy of being up there with like a 9.5, which is where I had ABC Murders and Cricket House. This, I would say, 9.0, just because that opening third of the book wasn't quite as engaging as the rest, but still fantastic book. Utterly amazing. I am going to continue reading Agatha Christie because she's going to continue to deliver. So, if you've read this book, let me know what you think. There's going to be potential spoilers in the comments, but let me know what you thought of the plot twist. Are there other Agatha Christie books you recommend that I read? Let me know in the comments. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video, and please hit the notification bell and continue to look up my other videos that I've done on mystery novels. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.